All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Ebony again, aka Fit Mom Diva of Simplicity Health Style, and today we have Miss Stephanie with us. How are you, Stephanie?
I'm good. Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for taking time and spending with us today, talking about some jewels and gems that all of us ladies need to hear from time to time. And for those of you that choose to stick around to the end, you will have an opportunity to earn a complimentary gift for sticking around and listening to what Miss Stephanie wants to share with us today. So, Stephanie, can you start us off by sharing just one motivational quote that really inspires you, something that encourages you and gets you going?
Definitely, for we walk by faith and not by sight. By sight, definitely keeps me motivated because for me, um, I've always, my faith has been tested so many times, but when I consistently kept my faith, I prevailed through it all. So definitely, that's something that motivates me because sometimes we don't always see what we don't see the ending of the finish line, but if we have faith that we're gonna make it, it will get us through. So that's definitely my motivational quote.
Yeah, and I think that's the case for all of us. You know, there's always uncertainty, and sometimes we don't know if it's necessarily the best path for us or the best decision for us, and sometimes we give up too soon because we don't know. And I think that a lot of times it just boils down to having faith and belief in the fact that what you want is going to happen. It's just a matter of being patient and waiting for it to occur. So,
Exactly.
can you talk a little bit about that? Talk about a time when you didn't necessarily see the light at the end of the tunnel and you maybe wanted to give up. Maybe you had some unforeseen circumstances arise, challenges arise, but at the end of the day, you were able to bring that goal or that dream to fruition.
Definitely this journey in grad school. I'm currently studying social work, getting my master's in social work at Howard University, and my faith has definitely been tested. I just feel like I've been tested multiple times. Specifically, these last 2 semesters, I don't know what it was. It was just a bunch of different things from family issues to just personal issues, and I just became very depressed, especially my spring semester. Like there was days where I wouldn't get out of bed. I would go to class, but I would be a body. I wouldn't be there mentally to the point where I was starting to notice it was affecting my work. Um, and even this semester as well, just not having the time and always feeling like you're such a moving part, but you're not really processing everything that's going on. And it was really rough. There was days I cried. I wanted to give up. I called one of my best friends and I was like, I don't think this is for me. I don't know what it is. I just feel like this is not for me. I think this is a big mistake. I don't know what told me to decide to go to grad school for something. And she was literally like, "Are you done?" Because she got her MSW as well, and she was like, "Are you done?" I was like, "No, I'm not." She was like, "Listen, we've all been there where we feel like it's can't it's never gonna happen, but you have to keep going. Like you can't give up. You're so close." And I was like, "You don't understand. You have it already." And I just felt like, nobody understood what I was going through, but I had to really stop for a second. And I was on my way to my undergrad homecoming when this happened. And I was just crying and crying and crying. And I was driving, and a gospel song, He Loves Me, came on. And it just spoke to what I needed to hear at that moment. It said, he's with you. You have to have faith. You have to really be there. And my faith, and I won't even say my faith in God through this year, but I will say that my relationship with him has grown a lot stronger. So with that, I really had to trust him. I had to really stop what I was doing, stop the crying, stop the pity party, and trust him. And I was also doing counseling as well because I knew, okay, I need to talk to somebody. There's some things that is hurting me and hindering me from moving forward. So I had to just stop and really sit and think about what I was going to do to prevail. I made it through the semester. I have one more to go, and then I could finally say, like, I did it, and I made it through the semester. That was one thing, and I even made it through my last spring semester with a 3.8, which I honestly tell you, I was like, I thought I did horrible, but it was just my professors really told me, you know, this is normal, but you made it through. You fought through it, and you came to us when you needed help. You were willing to be vulnerable and say, hey, I'm going through something. I'm not my best because of something. This is what I'm going to do to push forward. And I made it through. And I'm just thankful that I have one more to go. I know it's going to be my last semester, which is tough, but I have strong faith that God is going to see me through. And I'm going to South Africa next semester to study abroad. So that's a plus too.
Awesome. Well, gosh, you said you were going through it and still ended up with a 3.8 GPA, which means that you got mostly all A's. just what, 1B?
I literally looked, I was like, how did this happen? You know what? Okay.
That's amazing. And you said you're going to South Africa when you're finished to celebrate?
No, I got selected to go on a service learning program with the School of Social Work. So we're going to go to Cape Town, South Africa for 10 days where we're going to see the country, meet the MSW students at the University of Cape Town. We just have a lot of different things that we're going to celebrate. And it's the 5th anniversary. And when I literally received the news, I broke down in tears because I was like, I've worked so hard and I've gone through so much this year alone, and I just felt like that was that is just a preview into what 2019 is going to be for me. Just infinite blessings and just good things to come. I just have to just trust in Him and know that when the time gets tough, I'm going to still make it through.
Yeah, and I think that you persevering and actually completing this degree will show you that, no matter how difficult it might feel at certain times, that you can press through and reach the goal because you've actually experienced depression and anxiety and overwhelm that comes with achieving a goal, and then you end up actually doing a lot better than, like, you have the physical proof to show that you're strong enough to handle it. So I think when other situations arise in your life, you can use this as an example of, well, Stephanie, I am strong enough to be able to do this because I did it before.
Right, definitely.
Talk a little bit about support and how people can gain support for their dreams, because sometimes people feel like they're all alone and they don't have anyone to turn to. And I know you mentioned that you were able to at least turn to one of your friends, and that was a shoulder to cry on in your times of desperation, and they were there to help support you. So talk a little bit about how people can gain support if perhaps maybe they don't even have any close friends, or maybe they don't have any family members that really understand what they're going through. How else can they gain support?
Definitely. I definitely feel like I'm blessed because I have different modes of support. I have an amazing sister circle of just women I went to undergrad with, and who we just motivate each other and push each other. And when the time gets tough, we can lean on each other. So that's something that I'm really blessed to have. I seek counseling because even though I have a great support system, they are not going to be able to give me the professional, help that I needed. So I went at Howard, we have a counseling center, and whatever university usually has a free counseling center for students. So I went to the counseling center and I spoke to somebody. I even went through the first time I went through the School of Social Work, because as people who are preparing to be change agents and we serve others, we need to be able to serve ourselves before we serve others. So that was something I needed to do, because I said, if I'm struggling and as a student, I could just imagine what it's going to be like when I'm in the real world and working to, help all these people with the problems they have and the children that I plan to, help. I'm going to get tired. I'm going to feel anxiety. I'm going to feel all those things. So I decided to use the services that I have. Church played a big role in my life, because once I've always had a relationship with God, but once it started to get stronger, I felt like I was more powerful. I felt like I can do it. So definitely, whatever your religion is, because I know not everybody believes in God, but seek in your higher power, or, do what works for you, meditate. And also, I leaned on my colleagues this last semester. We leaned on each other, I would say, because you may think you're the only one going through it, but look at the people who you're sitting right next to, whether that's at a job, whether that's at school, whether that's at, a fellowship. There are people doing the same thing you're doing. Seek their help, seek them, because you never know until you open your mouth. It took for us to sit and go to happy hours for us to say, you know what, this semester is rough. And it's like, you can have a semester too. And it's like, I thought you were doing so great. But you never know until you really open your mouth. And you may say, hey, you guys, I haven't really been here, or can you really help me understand what's been going on in class, or what's your perception of what our professor is talking about? You have to use the resources around you, whether, even if you don't have family, because just a transparency moment, I have family, but my family's from Haiti, and I'm the first generation to seek a bachelor's degree, to graduate essentially, and to seek a master's degree. So my family doesn't really understand my struggle. They may say, it's going to be okay, you're going to make it, but none of them have sat in my shoes. And it's hard when they might not understand. So you kind of you take what they say at face value, not because you don't respect them and you don't love them. It's because they don't understand.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like, I had to lean on people who had that type of have been in the same position as me, and who are in the same position as me. And my faith I had to really trust God. And I don't want to go over and go into that, but something when I was sitting in church one day, because I was struggling with trust. I was like, how am I going to trust something that people tell me to do, but I'm trusting him, or I think I'm trusting him, and things are just getting worse, or things are not changing. But it was something my bishop said, where he said that, it's so hard for us to trust something we don't, our heavenly Father, when our humanly Father, our physical Father, has let us down. And just thinking about my relationship with my dad, like how many times he's let me down, and how many times, he's disappointed me or hurt me. And I'm like, how am I gonna? That makes so much sense. How am I gonna trust my heavenly Father when I can't even trust my real Father? Like, not saying that God isn't my real Father, but trust my Father on earth, who's hurt me and done so much to me. But I had to look past that and seek help from my fellow sisters in Christ and brothers in Christ, where we were talking, and I was like, this is how I feel, and they were like, it's hard, but you have to just trust him, and it's not an easy thing. But trust me, once you start to really trust him, things will start to change and be in your favor. And it was once I took that advice where I did start to see the changes. So you just have to seek support in your resources around you, and seek it in yourself as well, because you're your biggest supporter, but you have to unlock that.
Yes, and that is so true, that sometimes, family members or friends, they can give words of encouragement, but if they're not actually walking through the same exact situation, you kind of just take it as, oh, okay, well, that's what you're supposed to say, So I think that when you are, especially in an academic program, or you have a specific situation that there are groups of people that have that similar issue, those are the people that most times you can gain the best support from. And there are so many different communities in our local environment that are people very similar to us, but we don't necessarily even think about joining those kind of groups. Sometimes we excuse it as, I'm too busy, so I can't meet with them every Saturday at 2:00 in the afternoon, or I can't do this because of this. And really, those are the people that can help support you the most, and you can build the best friendships with, because they're going through the same exact issue. I know that, there's a website, meetup.com, that I refer a lot of people to, where you can gain support in almost any and every interest area. So it could be that you're a single father, a single mother. It could be that you just want to talk to people about painting pictures, or maybe you just want to join a book club, or maybe you want to talk to other people that have an interest in travel. It could be anything, but there are so many different groups now, even in our local community, that meet up on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, that sometimes you build really great friendships from those people because they wouldn't have joined that particular group if they didn't have that interest. Most times people didn't force them to join that group, you know. So taking advantage of, you know, just the setups right there in your local community. And then if you're too reserved, too shy to meet people in your local community, going online and finding a group that's of similar interests is, you know, usually there. It's just that you haven't looked hard enough to be able to find it. I know for me on social media, I find a lot of value out of joining groups of women that are very similar minded to myself. So if you feel like you don't have that support right around you, it's not that they don't necessarily want to support you. They might not just understand what you're going through, as Stephanie said. So looking a little bit beyond your immediate circle sometimes can be of greater benefit to you than relying on those people. Stephanie, can you talk a little bit about the relationship between self-care and realizing our dreams? Because as you know, you're not always at your best. You talked about that earlier. You're not always at your best. You sometimes feel like, oh, I just want to lay in bed all day, and then all day turns into a whole weekend. And depending on how your lifestyle is set up, it could turn into a whole week. You know, so there are different factors involved here with us realizing our dream when we're not taking care of ourselves mentally, physically, and emotionally. So talk a little bit about some self-care strategies that you've used in the past or that you even use now, and maybe even talk about some challenges that you face with self-care.
Okay. First thing, I will start with my challenge. My challenge is actually practicing self-care. I'm still kind of like this, but I had to keep going. If I stopped, I'm thinking about what's going on in my life, or I'm thinking about the past. So I had to keep going. I had to keep it. And I was noticing, like, the things that I was thinking were self-care was more so maintenance, getting my nails and getting my toes done. Oh, I was just doing it's routine. Oh, my hair done. It's a routine. That's not really self-care. I will say it can be if you're relaxing during the time, but if you're literally pressing on, okay, I got it. This is the appointment here. This is the appointment there. I got to go. I'm back to. I had to really stop and say, okay, I am not a machine. I am not a robot. I do not operate on batteries. I need to sit down. And it was easy for I was taking my counselor, my therapist, because she was saying, like, you can't keep doing this. You're going to run yourself ragged. And I was listening to what she was saying. So something I like to do, definitely watch movies. And self-care is self-care, there's no definition of what self-care is. Self-care is literally what you want it to be. So sitting at home, watching movies, that could be your self-care. I like to work out, and I like to work out in groups. So I joined a fitness group, and that was something that really helped me every Saturday. And I was getting ready to go on a trip, so I was like, okay, I'm working on my fitness goals, and I'm also trying to get my body right when I go on this trip. But it was an hour of just real, like, I didn't think about anything during that hour, but getting through this workout. Or you can I know some people like to take walks. I like walking when it's a nice day outside, watching movies by yourself. Sometimes self-care has to be done by yourself. You can't say, oh, I'm going to the movies with my friends. Well, you can do that as self-care, but sometimes you have to step outside of a group and do something by yourself. I know for me, one month, I just went to, like, a movies by myself, and it was so peaceful. I didn't have to worry about nobody meeting up with anybody. I enjoyed the movie for myself. Nobody, kind of chit-chatting with you in the movie or anything. And it was just good. Sometimes you have to take yourself out to eat. Doing things for yourself and making yourself feel good, and it doesn't always have to be materialistic, buying yourself something, because that's everybody's self-care. Oh, I just bought myself these pair of shoes. That's my self-care. No, what are you doing? Like, something you like, reading a book. I love reading. Just sitting down, not locking myself in my room, but just, like, closing my door and lighting a candle and just reading a book, listening to music, relaxing, meditating, really being in tune with your mind, clearing your mind. Because sometimes we have so many different thoughts going through our heads. We have to really sit down, relax, and clear our minds. So self-care is very vital, especially reaching goals, because if you think, oh, if I do this, I'll reach my goal. Like, for example, graduate with my MSW. Oh, if I just go to class, do all my work, go to internship, do this, do that, I'm gonna have my MSW. Well, I tried that, and it stressed me out. So I wasn't implementing self-care at the right time. So there's those times where I felt overwhelmed. I needed to just stop, do something for myself, do something to get my mind, and then come back to it when my mind is clear, when I'm not anxious, when I'm not stressed. So
Right.
definitely taking the time out for you to help you get to that goal, whether it's, getting that job. Like, I have my childhood friend, she has an interview for a job. So, and she really wants this job. This job can, like, elevate her in her career. She can do so much with it, and it's gonna help her get back in school and things like that. So we were talking. We went out to eat, and I told her, what are you kind of doing to prepare yourself? She's like, well, I bought myself a suit for the interview. I said, no, 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 no. What are you doing to prepare yourself? How do you know you're not gonna walk in and forget everything you want to say? Forget what you learned about the company, or forget why you really need this job. And she was like, well, when you say it like that, I mean, I'm not really doing anything. I said, what you need to do is find something to relax yourself before you go into the interview, whether it's the night before, whether it's the day before, whether it's a couple hours before. Do something where you can feel, when you walk in that door, you're not only confident, but you're relaxed, because it's so easy for us to get tense when we walk in an interview. It's so easy for us to be nervous, anxious. There's been times where I've sat in interviews and my mind went blank, or I knew what I was gonna say and I knew what they were asking me. They asked me, like, this one job that I actually applied for and didn't get. I was sure I worked for this. I was trying to get a higher position within a company that I worked for 4 years. So they asked me a question about one of the founders, and I was like, I know this. I know about her life. I wrote a paper about her life. And when I went in there, they was like, what do you know about her? And I was able to, two things stuck out to my mind, and I wrote it. And two of those things weren't even on the paper I wrote. So I was like, wow, okay. So when I got the denial, I was upset. But then they gave me critiques, and one of the critiques was, the lack of knowledge in the founder. And I was like, I know who she is. I know her whole life. But that was a lesson, because it was like, okay, you were so nervous that you blanked.
Yeah.
And you literally forgot everything you were going to say. You literally got to psych yourself out to the point where when you got up there, you were nervous, your words were jumbling around, but there's always another opportunity. This is a lesson, and I spoke to people about it, and I was really upset, but it was like, you know what, this is a lesson. You come back, and if it's God's way, I'll do it one day. It's just not my time now. So I had to really take that and understand it. And I really had to say, well, I need to start really practicing self-care and not saying I'm practicing self-care. So.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. When it's time to pursue something that is of most importance, those are definitely the times that you want to make sure that you've given yourself enough self-care so that you walk into that situation feeling like I'm relaxed, my mind is relaxed, my body is relaxed, because that's generally when you perform at your best. You don't perform at your best when you're anxious wreck, as you saw. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate you sharing all of your experiences with us, and we could talk all day long. And I think that people definitely resonate with everything that you shared today, and particularly people that they are very driven and career-minded, because they tend to say things like, well, I know that I want this goal, but in order to get there, I have to sacrifice a lot. And one of the things that people find along that journey in sacrificing things is that they don't necessarily take a lot of time for themselves. And for those of you that struggle in that area, I designed a course specifically for that, for people that really need a little bit of a stronger handle on how they prioritize their schedule, and understanding that you can definitely balance life and work and life and school, and allow everything to integrate together so that you're not a nervous wreck. That tends to be the case for a lot of driven ladies, because they're driven, they're ambitious, they want what they want, and a lot of times they don't want to necessarily take a long time to get there. you know so I've experienced that, where when I was in grad school, I was feeling like, okay, I want to get all A's and I want to do the best that I can be, and I want to still hang out with my friends, and I still need to take care of family, and I still need to find time for self-care. And at times it could be like, well, how do I manage to fit all of this into my schedule? And it sometimes makes you feel like, well, I can't do in this area, then I'm a loser and I'm a failure, when in all actuality you're not. It's just all in your mind. Everything that needs to get done will always get done. And that's one of the things that I always had to tell myself, that things that are important that need to get done, they'll always get done. And if it's so important and it needs to get done, there's always someone else that you could delegate to also. You're just not necessarily thinking about how to do that or who to do that. So I encourage all of you to take a look at your schedule and look at ways that you can remove things that are less important and delegate, especially as women, delegate to people that could help you. There's always people to help you, just not necessarily always thinking about who those people might be. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Do you have any last words of encouragement that you can provide to us before we end?
As we get ready to go into the new year, just take some time to reflect on the lessons that you learned in 2018, and just grow. What are you going to do to grow from them? That's something that I'm currently doing right now. Because I never say there's a bad year. I just say the lessons were more in certain years. So just take the experiences that you had this year and really just think about them, and take that time to thank your higher power, or just to meditate on them and just be thankful that you made it through, because we literally have 3 more days in this year and you made it this far. So just be happy about that, because as time goes on, not everybody's making it through the year, and just be thankful about that. And also just look forward to the fresh start. Every new year is a fresh start, and new blessings, new obstacles, and just take the time to be reflective. So that's all I can say.
Yeah, and for those of you that are not listening in 2018, it might be 2021 when you're listening to this. Just take that as you can utilize that thought that she just gave for no matter where you are in your life. Just really sit back and appreciate where you've been, celebrate your successes, and know that things are always designed so that they can help you to grow. They're not designed to help you fail. They're designed to help you grow. And sometimes what you perceive as failure is not really failure. It's just for failure in your own mind. Everything is always designed to help you grow as an individual. So always take that to heart. And for those of you that are struggling in the area of defining what your purpose is and how you can use that purpose and those gifts in order to serve other people, I would encourage you to connect with me in my Nutrition for Busy Women Facebook group. I'm active in that group to help ladies really discover what it is that they would like to do in life to help serve others. And sometimes that comes naturally for some people, and other times people, they might feel like they're successful, but they're not really doing what's fulfilling to them. So there's a difference between being very successful on paper and actually feeling fulfilled at what they're doing. So if you need help in the areas of defining what your core life purpose and gifts and personality type is, please connect with me, and I'd be happy to provide you with a complimentary assessment so that you can at least have a foundation to go off of. Again, Stephanie, thank you so much. And for those of you that are listening, if you feel like this could benefit any of your family or friends, please share this content out with them. And I would strongly appreciate if you also have experiences that you want to be able to put out there into the world to help connect with ladies and encourage ladies. Connect with me. All of my contact info is in the description box, as well as Stephanie's if you want to connect with her. And we both welcome that. But connect with me and let me know that you want to share your story, and perhaps we can have you on one of the future episodes. Stephanie, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And wherever you are in the world, always remember to live a life full of meaning and purpose. I'll talk to you guys soon in our future episodes.